Perpetual Treasuries at the center of the bond scam records a 6-month profit of over 6.8 billion rupees. Former Minister V Rajapaksa remanded for providing 37 vehicles to associates. Former President Chandaka Bandaranayake comments on constitutional reforms.
ඒක තමයි සහෝදරයා කියන්නේ මිනිසාගේ චරිතය කියලා. එදා එපා කිව්ව ව්‍යවස්ථාව තමයි දැන් රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ ගේන්න හදන්නේ.
Police introduces new system to provide information to the media.
We apologize for the delay owing to a technical difficulty. However, we are now back on track. And welcome to your Primetime News Bulletin. I'm Shane Silva.
And I'm Nicola D'Souza. This is your top story. Perpetual Treasuries Limited, the primary dealer at the center of the Treasury bond controversy, has upped its after-tax profits to 6.8 billion rupees during the 6 months starting from March to September 2016. This was revealed in a financial statement published recently.
According to central bank regulations, primary dealers must publish their annual financial reports. Perpetual Treasuries Limited Saturday published its financial statement for the period of 6 months that ended 30th September 2016 in the Daily News. According to the statement, the net profit of Perpetual Treasuries Limited was 6.815 billion rupees. The net profit of Perpetual Treasuries Limited, which stood at 59 million rupees for the financial year ending 31st of March 2015, rose sharply to 5,124 million rupees for the financial year ending on the 31st of March 2016. The company's assets, which stood at 1,184 million rupees as at 31st March 2016, had climbed to 2,332 million rupees by the 30th of September 2016.
Perpetual Treasuries ආයතනය තමයි මේ.
It was Perpetual Treasuries Limited that robbed from the central bank and the EPF. Here is the 6.815 billion rupees that was looted. Find out from where these funds came from. He had purchased media institutions and commenced newspapers and now is attempting to launder money through this. Therefore, if the governor of the central bank or the monetary board is not going to take any disciplinary action, what we have to say is this. When the tenure of this government ends, investigations regarding these will commence over the misuse of public funds. You will have to weep at the FCID to save yourselves.
FCID එකේ ගිහලා අඬ ඉන්න වෙනවා.
මේ සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම
Ranil Wickremesinghe is operating as a fascist dictatorial ruler. He is turning the economy upside down. He is implementing a program to benefit his associates. It has been proven that he will not take any action against his close associates. Here it says that Perpetual Treasuries Limited's total assets go up to 23 billion rupees. Through the central bank bond scam, the son-in-law of the former governor increased his assets to 23 billion.
The Fourth Magistrates Court today ordered 2 persons, including former Minister V Rajapaksa, to be placed under remand custody until the 24th of this month. The duo were remanded on the alleged misuse of around 37 state-owned vehicles for political activities during V Rajapaksa's tenure as Minister of Construction, Engineering Services, Housing and Common Amenities, which is said to have caused the government a loss of nearly 1 billion rupees.
Parliamentarian V Rajapaksa was arrested by the Police Financial Crimes Investigation Division this morning on charges of misuse of state property, breach of trust and under the Public Property Act. Former General Manager of the State Engineering Corporation, Samantha Lokuhannadi, was also remanded alongside V Rajapaksa. Police said that V Rajapaksa, during his tenure as Minister of Construction, Engineering Service, Housing and Common Amenities, had obtained around 37 vehicles from several private institutions for his ministry on rent for political activities. Police investigations have revealed that the vehicles in question were used by the former minister's sister, brother-in-law, active members of the National Freedom Front and staff who are not authorized to use vehicles. A group including several members of the opposition were also present at the time MP V Rajapaksa appeared at the FCID this morning.
Back then they said they would expose all the mega deals. They have not summoned me to question about the bond issue, the copper theft, the swindling of 80 million rupees through paddy, the millions earned through Prados or the massive amounts earned through shipments. They have summoned me today to question about the misuse of vehicles. Ranil Wickremesinghe went overseas yesterday after giving instructions to arrest me and a few others. We are ready to face this. Ranil Wickremesinghe is trying to run this country the same way he ran his party. Several members of the UNP abandoned the party because of his autocratic rule. He thinks the country is also like the UNP. From time and time again, he lets a new kite loose. Nothing more can be expected from Ranil Wickremesinghe. Today, Vimal Veeravansa is charged for the misuse of vehicles. If that is the case, if you consider the misuse of vehicles of the ministers and MPs in this government, half the cabinet should be in prison. There is a sense of fear in a political point of view. The future is unpleasant. The very people who cast their vote for this government have now turned the other way. The people are gearing up to topple this government. There is a fear that the faces in parliament will change. All the leaders in the country suddenly wake up at night saying Rajapaksa.
A tense situation broke out when MP Vimal Veeravansa was being taken to the 4th Magistrates Court. A tense situation broke out again opposite the Police Financial Crimes Investigations Division after the former minister was taken to court.
We were pushed. What would have happened if someone was run over by a vehicle? I was pushed close to the vehicle. It is shameful to get assaulted by men. We were not raised that way. I am his wife's sister's daughter. They are thuggish, aren't they? Do not be afraid if they are hoping to throw my uncle like this in jail. We will also come forward to stop it. They raised their hand to our girls. I was not there at the time. But if I was, I would have beaten them senselessly.
A group had also gathered around the premises of the 4th Magistrates Court at the time the parliamentarian was brought in.
The National Unity Alliance convened a media briefing this evening.
We saw in the breaking news this morning that former Minister Vimal Veeravansa was summoned to the FCID to give a statement. He appeared before the FCID with around 500 people accompanying him. Former ministers with cases filed against them in courts and Namal Baby were among them. We even wondered if the airport was transferred to Chatham Street. We thought he was leaving the country and that all of them have come to bid farewell to him. Every day there is someone who appears before the FCID for all what they did in the past. Namal says that Vimal Veeravansa used the vehicle and that there is nothing wrong in that, as there are certain persons in the regime as well who engage in such things. What we said continuously was that we can solve these problems. But people who engage in fraud and corruption, murderers, ones who implemented the white man tradition and launched TV stations are still at large. This government completed 2 years on the 8th of January, but we were unable to arrest these people. If the government listened to what we had to tell them back then, they wouldn't get attacked in Hambantota.
The case pertaining to the alleged ownership of the property and land in Malwana by former Minister V Rajapaksa was taken up for hearing in court today.
Basil Rajapaksa, who is a suspect in the case, did not appear for the hearing today as he is overseas as permitted by court. Thirukumar Nadesan, who is another suspect in the case, appeared in court today where he requested permission to travel overseas. Court granted Nadesan permission to travel overseas for a period of 6 weeks and postponed the case until the 25th of April. When the case was taken up today, the FCID made a request from court to pluck the coconuts at this land and to implement a mechanism to deposit the money of these coconuts. The learned magistrate judge did not issue an order in this regard today. She further informed that the matter would be taken up for consideration on a further date and that the relevant details on the measures to be taken for this land to be publicly auctioned has been submitted to the Justice Ministry. Meanwhile, the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court ordered for the examination of evidence with regard to 5 cases filed against former Minister Johnson Fernando by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption to be taken up on the 21st of March. The cases have been filed against the former minister on the charge of failure to declare his assets from 2010 to 2015. Though the hearing for the cases was scheduled to be taken up today, the representative of the Presidential Secretariat who was named as a witness to the case did not appear in court today.
Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa has left the country to the United States. The former Defence Secretary had left the island via the Bandaranaike International Airport today. A spokesperson of Gotabaya Rajapaksa said the former Defence Secretary would remain in the United States for a month.
The Banker, a magazine of the British Daily Financial Times, has named Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake the Finance Minister of the Year in Asia Pacific.
According to a statement from the Ministry of Finance, Minister Ravi Karunanayake has been bestowed the honour by the prestigious magazine for his efforts to steer Sri Lanka into a new era of economic reform and a change in mindset. Quoting the Banker, it adds that Minister Karunanayake secured a $1.5 billion International Monetary Fund loan program that the country needed to avoid a balance of payments crisis, replenish reserves and rebuild confidence among international investors. The Banker says that Sri Lanka's budget deficit has dropped from 7% when Karunanayake took office in January 2015 to 5.6% in 2016, just below expectations.
And on Newsline tonight, Newsfirst Sonali Wanigabadage speaks to UPFA MP Vidura Vikramanayake.
Word on the street is that you are rather frustrated with the current state of affairs. Is there any truth to it?
Well, you can call it by any name that you like to use, but whatever said and done, who is on the side of the people right now? The grievances of the people, has they been addressed properly? And by whom? I am pointing my finger not only at the government but also at the opposition.
On the 8th of January 2015, the people voted in change. Are you not happy with this change?
Are you happy? What we perceive is that people are not happy. Forget about being contented. Forget about being contented. They are not happy at all at the state of affairs. How can you be happy when you have to buy a kilo of rice for 120 rupees, a loaf of bread for 70-80 rupees, and when you cannot get the ends meet at your home? So many people can say, now I know the Prime Minister is saying that they want to increase the income of the people. That is what every government has been saying. They want to increase the income of the individual. But at the same time maybe they are increasing the income, but I have not seen. I have not seen that. But the expenditure has gone up.
So as the opposition, what are you doing to make sure?
That is exactly what I told. I am pointing my finger at the opposition as well. What have we done? In your program, Gumat, you all have rendered immense support to the people. Have we done that as the opposition?
So, Mr. Vikramanayake, what needs to be done to correct this?
We need to have a revolution of thoughts. For the past 2 years, we were dreaming of driving a Volkswagen or owning a Volkswagen. Ultimately what happened? The Volkswagen became a Volkswagen. Similarly, most of the projects initiated by this government has not catered to the needs of the majority of this country, but rather to the few. The allegation made by the UNP during the past years, only a family thrived, only one family thrived. Under this government, I am not telling only one family, but couple of families are thriving. Couple of families are thriving. Take the case of the central bank. Take the case of the central bank. Just imagine, after committing such a fraudulent act, that particular company is coming out with an advertisement to invest with them. And what action the central bank has taken?
Foreign direct investments was a topic raised on Face the Nation last night. Let's have a look at some of the excerpts from the program.
Was this really FDI?
Yes, the investment is 20.
So where is Senok going to get $26 million from?
Well,
did you ask for proof of funds from Senok?
No. With any investment application that comes in, we not only don't ask for the proof of funds. This has been a trend always from 1978. We don't ask for proof of funds, but we gave them a implementation period. If they don't implement the project meaningfully during a certain period, we cancel that project. But this plant that is going to be set up in Sri Lanka is originally for the Sri Lankan market.
Recall what they said? We are going to bring back the GSP Plus. We are going to have a Volkswagen factory. We are going to have this, that, so many foreign investments, FDIs. Now we see a situation, not a cent of FDI is coming into this country through this Volkswagen project. I mean, they have given the land for the project. The land is allocated. And they are not sure where the FDI is coming from. Whether it is a local investment or whether it is a foreign investment. I also have experience in going to the BOI. To get a piece of land to do a project, you have to do everything, establish your credibility of showing the proof of your availability of funds to do that.
So there is a different amount of tax paid for a complete vehicle when it's imported, and there is a different amount of tax paid when the vehicle comes in parts. What if someone raises a finger at the BOI and says that this is a scam carried out by the BOI to bring in parts to evade taxes?
Now the same thing, the principle, whatever you are saying, applies to any other vehicle manufacturer also. Now for instance, there was another car manufacturer, which is not a world-renowned name, it's peculiar only to Sri Lanka. They have been assembling these vehicles on the same basis as you are now referring to, for the last 10 years. Nobody asked any questions about it.
But there is a High Court case order given that this should indirectly say that this is tax fraud. In the year 2006, there is a High Court judgment against the vehicle manufacturer, not so famous.
I have no information about the judgment they are referring to, but as far as I know, it still continues on the same basis.
The Office for National Unity and Reconciliation convened a media briefing today to announce programs that are to be conducted targeting university students.
There was a war that prevailed for more than 30 years in the country. There was no reconciliation among citizens of different ethnicities and religious groups in the country, even after 70 years following independence. It is the responsibility of the state to educate the younger generation, especially the university students, about the main reasons behind this, the effect this has on the society, and on how to resolve this. The UGC has agreed to include a subject in this regard to the university syllabus. There is only a few who are extremist, but the extremism they practice today is intense compared to those days. This is because it is the former president that has taken the leadership in this move under the guise of an opposition force.
The Department
both Prime Minister and President have categorically said that there will be foreign leaders and Justice Minister. He refuses with contempt this report. He has said that.
He has no right to do that because he voted for the consultations task force in the cabinet. Justice Minister was in that cabinet. If he didn't agree, he should have told them no. So obviously he doesn't believe in freedom. because the civil society was given the task of consulting people and freely telling the government what they said. So for him to say that he considers it with contempt, I think is a bit of a joke. Rajaya දැන් මේක පත් කරාට පස්සේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ අදහස් අරගෙන they will have to have a පුළුල් සාකච්ඡාව, extensive discussion and then decide.
සම්බන්ධ මට කියලා තිබුණා ඔයාගේ කාලේ ඔයා මේ කොන්ද solution එකක් solution එකක් දෙතොත් කරා. හැබැයි ඒ කාලේ opposition ඉන්න පිළියා මේ රනිල් එක විසි කරා. එතකොට දැන් ඒක ගමන් කරන්නේ හොඳ solution එකක් තියා දෙනවා කියලා ඒක වැඩ කරනවා. ඒක පුළුවන් දෙයක්.
ඒක තමයි සහෝදරයා කියන්නේ මිනිසාගේ චරිතය කියලා.
That is what you call the character of a human. Ranil Wickremesinghe is trying to bring back constitutional reforms that was rejected back then. He rejected it because he was afraid that our party will come into power again and that I will remain as the president. But I helped them to come into power, take leadership and get appointed as the prime minister. I even made some people presidents. But during those days, for almost 20 years, the country was destroyed. The UNP and most of those who opposed it admit today that if they had supported the regime back then, things would have been much better today. They admit the blunder they made. It is good that they at least admitted it now.
Treasurer of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Minister S.B. Dissanayaka, says that President Maithripala Sirisena should contest as the presidential candidate at the next presidential election.
Our party's stance with regard to the constitutional amendment is that we do not have a right to go in for a public referendum to make any amendments. We did not ask for a public mandate for that either. The United National Party, however, did ask for such a public mandate, but even they could not get the required mandate. So we believe that we can only think of the situation which lies on this side of a public referendum for a constitutional amendment. Therefore, a presidential election will definitely be held the next time, and we propose our party chairman, His Excellency the President Maithripala Sirisena, as our candidate. He initially made the statement that he would not contest again when he left the party and contested for presidency as an independent individual. So we think that if he took over our party and became our chairman, he is obliged to acknowledge the opinions of our party and its alliances. People have to agree. There is no way he cannot. He took over the party.
All those who live around the world now have the opportunity to be a part of the Gumat movement through the Gumat online payment portal.
The launch of the Gumat online payment portal was held under the patronage of the Group Director and CEO of the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited, Mohan Barara, this morning. Newsfirst and Siberian Private Limited partnered to launch the Gumat online payment portal. You can now log on to the website www.gumat.lk and make your donations in just 3 steps.
There's a lot of compassion all around the world. There's humanity everywhere. Humanity seeks to support. Humanity does not know whom to support. And there's always this question mark of, if I am doing something, is it reaching the right person or where is it going? Because leakages are common worldwide. It's nothing specific to any zone, country. It's a worldwide scenario. So it is in this context, all our systems and processes have been made in a way that there is tremendous amount of transparency and there is accountability. What we are now trying to do is make it easy for anyone to be able to part of the process of improving humanity in Sri Lanka.
Online donations for Gumat will be facilitated through the Charity Apple platform, which is readily available through the internet.
Charity Apple කියන්නේ online application එකක්.
Charity Apple is an online application. Anyone can donate to this cause through this online application using debit and credit cards. There are Sri Lankans overseas who are trying to help us, but they don't have a way of supporting us. So we have created this application, and after the application is launched, this will bridge the gap between the international diaspora and Sri Lanka through credit and debit cards. When we came across the Gumat initiative, we decided that this application will successfully help this cause. So that is why we decided to reach out to the international community to seek donations and support for this cause.
donations ගන්න පුළුවන් තමයි බලාපොරොත්තු තිබ්බේ අතරම.
When we approached the Gumat initiative, we knew that this was a good opportunity to serve the society. We can render a great service to society through this initiative. We are joining hands with Gumat through this application with the pure intention of engaging in social service. We are not doing this expecting any financial benefit. All what we want is to do something good to the country.
Minister of Housing and Construction Sajith Premadasa attended an event in Tissa Maharama today.
The foundation stone for the 241st Udagamania under the Samata 7 housing program was laid in the Kawan Tissapura area in Tissa Maharama today. Having your name in the electoral list is not enough. Having citizenship is not enough. I believe that the greatest human right that we must grant our citizens is ownership of a house. The development drive we are engaging in is aimed at pleasing the people. We are not a government that will cause grief to the people in the name of development.
Sri Lanka Police introduced its new media policy today.
According to the new policy, Sri Lanka Police would follow several guidelines when releasing information to the media. Thereby, information can be released to the media by the Ministry of Law and Order, the IGP, or an individual vested with that power. In the event the IGP vests that power with an individual, that individual can only act within the duties and responsibilities of his position. Sri Lanka Police will prepare a mechanism based on this policy in the coming 2 weeks. Therefore, do not anticipate sound bites all the time. We will provide you with sufficient information.
ලේකම්තුමා දැන් අපිට පෙනෙනවා මෙතන මාධ්‍යයට යම්කිසි බාධාවක් වෙනවා වගේ නෑ කිව්වට. කාර්මිකව තේරුම් ගන්න
Please try to understand this. With regards to incidents like Saya, a situation arose when several persons gave statements to the media. When you contact the regional police, they have one view and the police media spokesperson would have another. That creates confusion. I was not asked to conduct any special investigation on that matter. If I am asked to do so, I will conduct an investigation. The Inspector General of Police is a highly respected position in the country, appointed by the President and the Parliament. If an open investigation must be conducted against him, it will come from them. He may have said it, but it was not requested for in writing. It is wrong to blame me for that.
Well, that's a wrap of tonight's news. Thank you for joining us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Nicola De Zoiza.
And I'm Shane Silva. We leave you tonight with a statement made by former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga. Take care and good night.
ඒක තමයි සහෝදරයා කියන්නේ මිනිසාගේ චරිතය කියලා.
That is what you call the character of a human. Ranil Wickremesinghe is trying to bring back constitutional reforms that was rejected back then. He rejected it because he was afraid that our party will come into power again and that I will remain as the president. But I helped them to come into power, take leadership and get appointed as the Prime Minister. But during those days, for almost 20 years, the country was destroyed.